subcommittee meeting to order at 7:22. I apologize for us starting late, but our trustee meeting went a little bit long. But that's okay. Things needed to be discussed, so it's all good.
Agenda?
Okay, we have an agenda.
We do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
James. So we organized that group already. I accepted being chairperson. James accepted to be the note taker. I left it on the agenda because I didn't know if someone was interested in being vice chair. We do not need a vice chair, but I just didn't want to say that, you know, it wasn't available if somebody wanted to be the vice chair. Anyone?
I like formally appointed to this subcommittee. I know the two of you are, trustees, so.
Yeah, good question. I don't know.
Yes, I mean, I guess my question would be like, if there are other sort of formal roles, if they need to be like appointed and sworn in.
So as my understanding under how the open law and that part works is as it's a subcommittee under the direction of the trustees, which is the primary, that it's designed to be still designated.
Yeah.
And voted upon by the trustees to stand up.
Yeah.
But the appointments within it are based on the needs of the subcommittee. So
So it doesn't need to be the.
we don't, the formal, because we're not technically voted in
Right,
like by the town, by the town, people to be this. This is a designation by the committee or by the trustees. So I think we're good to cover it. And I think the vice chair would be just to cover if you're.
If I'm unavailable, right. And again, we don't have to have a vice chair. We have plenty of workarounds. So I just wanted to kind of put it out there in case there was somebody that was interested.
And honestly, if you're not around, I'm happy to cover it. Being the
And
secretary,
that is fine.
You guys need, I'm here for you.
Okay, excellent.
I don't mind taking minutes if you have the vice chair, so.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you.
All right, so
Thank you.
then- thank you.
Chair.
So then our, use it a touchscreen, so.
Old.
Clearly mine is.
I'm older.
I'm older too, but I do have a touchscreen. Okay, so number 3 is the architect selection. So, we did, sign a proposal, from the architect. I can't remember. Did I email that out to everyone? The proposal? I was going to, and I don't know if it happened or not. Okay, so we did sign a proposal that, was provided to us by the architects. Andrew and James met with them, in, early February and did a walkthrough of the space, talked about what our needs were and what our wants were and what our specific needs were. They did submit a proposal, which basically outlined, a breakdown of the $25,000 that we told them that we had, from the state. As well as a tentative project schedule, basically saying that, they would provide existing conditions and their base plans within 2 weeks. Initial design concepts 2 weeks after that, refining concepts 2 weeks after that, and then prepare a final feasibility study 2 weeks after that. So approximately an 8 to 10 week is kind of where you originally said it would be in. So that I actually thought that was,
I would think so.
yeah.
That's fast moving. I mean, I know the money needs to be spent.
Yes, and they're aware that we only have half of it now and that we, they were totally on board with all of that. They said they've done things like this before. They were.
told Jeremy a month and a half.
Yeah, that's fine. They were very happy to work on a fairly local, to them, they're in Hopkinton, so.
Yep, no, one of the owners who came and did the first talk through, he lives up in Upton, so he comes by this frequently, he knows the area well.
Yeah.
And it was, that meeting, and I don't want to speak out of turn, went extremely well. Like, we-
Oh, good,
a lot of confidence in both him and the project manager that came with him, which is Rebecca.
And it was very, I mean, it didn't look like they were phased at all by the prospect of doing this.
Not at all. And they were very receptive to understanding why, because they'd already looked at the old study. They understood why we were asking the questions we were, talking about adaptive reuse, talking about these other flexible things, and understanding that in some cases, funding could drive, what direction we need to go. And they said, completely get it, and they're gonna give us best case scenario and different ideas. They were, I think that they realized the timeline was not going to be a simple one, but they also didn't shy away from it. And it's good small local business.
Yeah.
Can you say the name again?
The full name is, let me find it.
It's the initials GR.
PRLA.
Yep.
So, is what they go by. Gorman, Richardson, Lewis Architects, and Scott Richardson, which is one of the owners, his name was given to us by Amy Fahey. So I had reached out to him specifically, and left a message, and he called me back within a couple of hours. Like, I was blown away. I expected to hear the following, because I called him on a Friday. I just happened to have the day off, and he called me within a couple of hours, and I expected to hear within like a week or so, maybe, you know what I mean? So their response time was excellent, and the fact that they were able to come out so quickly to start the initial process, I thought was fantastic. I was originally hoping that maybe we could have, something for tonight, but I guess it was a little too early, especially when they came on Monday to do the measurements and things like that. So I'll touch base. I had also mentioned in the trustee meeting, Monica, just so you're aware, I had reached out to Rebecca, who's the project manager, and asked her if she could set up a time with Tara to talk to Tara, because it was important that Tara is involved in this process, especially because the programming area, which is our number one goal, is what she would benefit from. So they're going back and forth to set up a time, even if it's a phone call, she doesn't have to be here. Because I just figured with Tara's schedule, knowing how she's kind of all over the place with her multiple jobs, the chance that she's physically here in the building the next time they come to do a walkthrough or talk to us about stuff, Tara might not be available. So at least if they connect on the phone, they have her feedback as well. And Tara appreciated being included. I was like, not that she thought she was going to be excluded, but she appreciated that we were.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that the last group that we had, I think we all sat down with them, so I didn't know like what direction if that was gonna happen.
Well, yeah, and ideally, at some point, they sit down with us as a committee. And
Well,
so,
I agree with you.
even if they remote in, if they can't physically be here during one of our meetings, maybe it's our next meeting. Maybe we ask them if they can at least remote into our next meeting. I think that might be a good time frame.
I agree with you, like it's for Tara, like in terms of to catch her when she's here, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so that's kind of why I figured if they can just connect, it
Yeah.
would be good. I'm excited, I haven't met them yet, but I'm very excited to hear, to meet them and, from what I've heard from Andrew and James, like I said, it sounds like it went really well, and, I think it'll be
Well,
good.
if they didn't roll the eyes and said,
No,
Good.
one the opposite.
Wasn't-
And like, we even started throwing out different ideas about, hey, vaulting ceilings, making things feel more open or doing stuff like that. And they're like, oh, sure, those are great.
Yeah, in
And
fact, I think she even said, no, I was already thinking about the vault.
so like, there was a lot of things that they're like taking from what they saw here and translating over.
Perfect. Yeah.
And hey, architects, consultants, their job is to help the customer get to some form of solution. But it was also refreshing to have someone say, hey, do you have your old paper copies? We handed them the paper copies, and they're like, we'll scan this so you have everything digital.
Oh my God, yeah, so I had
All
all
of this change
huge.
for this building, they're all gonna get scanned digitally, that's all part of, that was just like, hey, of course we do that, 'cause that's just part of what we do.
Yeah, it's this huge roll, and it's sitting in the office, and it's literally, I don't know how many pages.
It was a lot.
It was the contractor had used before, he's like, yeah, I'll take that, I'll scan for him, like, really? Because this is a lot, but yeah, they said that was fine, and we also gave them a copy of the old feasibility study, just
Okay.
so that they could kind of see what,
Yeah.
where we were going, and actually it will help,
And
because.
yeah, there's some of those things if we can incorporate, of course.
I mean, with all things that we had said, these are the things that are important to us, so we'll look at
Yeah.
that and say, okay, it seems like they want this, but.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll see where it goes.
And I know we said this last time, but we did verify, it is because it's under that 30,000 sole source, so we
Yes.
have the authority to go direct to, once they give us a good bid, we can sign and go.
Right, yeah, that is why the three of us kind of had a discussion, that's why we signed the proposal to just keep things moving so that we weren't waiting for the next meeting to, we didn't need to do that. So we did sign the proposal, and I gave them a bad scan because I had to take a picture of it with my phone. But they were like, this is perfectly fine. So I was like, okay. So and that worked out really well. I will email out the proposal to everyone if they, in case they want to just kind of read over it. But it's, just the basic legal stuff as well as what they'll provide. I apologize. I thought I had already done that, but I will make sure I do that.
I'll double check.
Yeah, I can't remember if I did.
Any questions on?
Yeah, any questions on the proposal itself? There's a copy right here if you want to pass around, take a peek at it or whatever.
Is the timeline in the proposal that you?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Not dates wise, just generic 2 weeks, 2
Yeah.
weeks, 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it too.
Yes, absolutely.
Been trying to make sure I had you on the CC line for the minutes and other stuff. So if I'm sending things out, I'm gonna try to do that. This is jumping topics, I'm sorry.
Go for it. No,
Sure.
don't worry about it.
Okay. I also need to work with, oh, wow, lost his name. See his face. Dan.
Byer.
Yeah, Dan Byer. I need to change the name in the Teams page so it actually says subcommittee. So the PID is official, then everything can just be saved in that one spot. And then, like we were talking about in the earlier meeting, then everything is officially at least saved on OneDrive so that we keep the process correct. We don't lose any time. But I'll work with him on that. And we didn't get to that last week.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
Okay, sorry. That kind of knocks off two different things about both architect selection and then kind of where we currently stand with feasibility study update.
Yes.
If you want me, I can chip in real quick, just to let you know that the first half of the award is in.
Oh,
and
excellent.
Is available to pull from. They asked, he reached out to ask who they should be sending their invoices to. I said, well, send them to me. I have the 3 line item numbers. I mean, basically,
Yes.
I can process that. I think, so they'll
Yes,
send me their first.
perfect. Okay.
invoice, and obviously the second. And I'll take care of those.
You want to talk about CPA meeting?
Yeah,
So we had, Andrew had forwarded us a message from,
Oh, okay.
Ann Mazar, is that her name?
Yeah.
That they were having last week, I think, a CPA meeting to, basically, they put it out there to see if there were any other town departments that had the need for CPA funds and projects that might be utilizing them. So we talked about, like, Andrew's like, I didn't know if you and James were able to go. And we talked about it, and we said, we don't know if we're really at that stage yet, because yes, we want to be able to use CPA funds if it's available to us for this project, but we're only at the feasibility study stage. So James and I decided, like, neither one of us were available to go to the meeting, so he said, let me send an email to Ann. So he sent an email and then he got some feedback from her.
yeah, we've had some back and forth, and she completely agreed. She'd been aware of what we were doing anyway. And I laid it out. I said, hey, we're not in that cycle for what you're talking about for this next year. But it is possible that this could be something for evaluation. She said, absolutely, let's, as we start moving through that next cycle, let's open up that discussion. And as you get that feasibility study come back, so we can start to sit. And this leads into the word, kind of the liaisons that we had talked about during the last meeting, liaisons with senior centers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
And frankly, liaisons with some of CPA and some of the other groups that as we get to that next stage in the feasibility study, we, at least a month out, ask if they're available to come sit in the meeting so we can start, that discussion.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you talk?
I did reach out, she couldn't make it tonight, but
Okay.
she said she's definitely interested.
Oh, good.
Her name is Carolyn Bloss.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's got the drive for all of us here at the table.
Carolyn?
Carolyn was.
WASS?
Mhm.
Cool.
Oh, excellent, okay.
To join the group.
I mean,
Yeah.
I asked her to sit in, I wouldn't even pick her up.
Okay.
So
Alright.
if she hadn't had her family offered it, I
Yeah.
think she would have joined us.
Okay.
So she's definitely interested.
That's
Excellent.
awesome.
Yeah, excellent. And I tend to keep, so I typically, when I email, because at one point Dan had come to our meetings early on, meetings. So I try to CC him and Jane Lowell on the emails too, just to kind of keep him in the loop. I don't really expect Dan to be part of the committee. He's got so much going on.
When we did the working group, I always looped the two of them.
Yeah, I like just to keep them because there was one thing that Jane actually brought to our attention and we said, and so it's good, even if she can't attend the meetings, at least she's kind of still thinking about some of the stuff. And
Yeah.
when we do get to the part that we're gonna try to do the historic, get involved with the historic part of it again, maybe she'll be able to loop herself back in to kind of be
Yeah.
that person for us. So I still try to CC Dan on everything too, because maybe there's space that we can utilize together, you know?
Do you have her email, Carolyn?
Oh, that's a good idea. We could add her to the minutes.
I do wonder about trying to loop Dylan back in. I know you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did for a while, but I didn't.
But yeah,
And I know she had some things going on.
maybe.
Some things. Minor details.
Yeah.
You know, growing life.
It's
Well,
rather general.
it was her partner, but you know.
That's-
but
that's
still
okay.
nice parental.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's C.
Yep.
WASS. And it's at Comcast.net.
Perfect.
So if you want to reach out to her again and say, so she's back.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to reach out to her again and say, if we would love to have you,
Yeah,
your
I think
input,
expressed an interest.
Yeah.
Before, like, a while ago.
and remind her if she can join remotely, she doesn't have to be in person.
yeah, and for whatever the next meeting date is, I would
Yeah.
say if you're interested, just
Yeah.
sit in on the meeting.
Absolutely.
We'd love your input.
I think there were just a couple of people who were a little burnt out from the senior center expansion project, which I get that. They were
Yeah, I
a little
totally-
disheartened and they put so much time and effort in.
Yeah,
And that they will give them a little bit of a break, but
T1.
Yeah.
And what was it? Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. go ahead.
no,
yeah, no, I agree with that too.
Next agenda, we should add review meeting minutes. No problem. I don't know if everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes for a while. I did send them out late.
yeah, you do.
I didn't like the format. I'm gonna change it how I wrote it. I apologize now. So.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with it. It's more about how I am being, I mean, yeah, the aesthetics. Honestly, it was, okay. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate you.
Take that out of his paycheck.
Sure. Yeah.
The big paycheck.
Big paycheck. So that's what I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have a problem with it even the way it is, it's whatever, you're just being perfectionist. Which is what you do best.
Right, some days.
Um,
What days it's a brick wall.
did anybody have any questions on the meeting minutes? So you just asked that basically, right? So I think, they were fine for me.
Okay,
I don't have any question.
cool.
So what else? Is there anything else that we would want to bring up based on the meetings you guys had with GRLA?
Real quick, as you're talking minutes,
Okay,
do these need posting?
Yes,
yes.
And where are we posting them?
same place we would normally, so it would go to the town.
Oh, wait,
The minutes?
The minutes would go as they would.
so it said post the trustees minutes on the.
Website, his website. So do they need to be
Do they need to be on
posted
the
there?
website, or can they just be posted on the top? I don't know.
Yeah, because the town's page has,
Maybe we should have a different folder, like a different folder, but a different.
Different links.
Usually each board and committee has their own page on the
Yeah.
town website where minutes get uploaded. But you don't, the trustees don't have that, they have the separate.
Right, because we
website.
are, right,
Right.
but eventually we will, because we'll all be included.
Well, and I understand it's gonna be still a separate website, just it's gonna be like matching the same format.
Oh,
Right.
okay,
With a color switch,
Yeah.
I understand, so like, but everything,
There's things that can make it more customizable for us because
Yeah.
of our, what our requirements are, which are
okay.
different from a number of other.
So then if that's the case, I would say that, yes, there should be a separate link and then just be,
All right, so we need to create a link and then we need to create a separate page, which is where the minutes will live.
yes, please. Happy to help if I can. If you've got it, go for it.
and
Yeah, it's
unlike the
not
trustee
crazy.
minutes, we
We'll-
don't have
we'll-
to, like, we don't have to vote on approving them, correct? I don't
I
know.
think you
Yeah.
might. Yeah.
It's application.
Forward to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Motion to amend the agenda to include approval of minutes.
Yes, I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye. And then I will put a motion forward to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If there's an issue trying to put it
That's
in.
parliamentary.
No, I love it.
We'll let you know, James, if there's any issue trying to.
Perfect.
Separate subcommittee page.
Okay. What else? Oh, so was there anything else from those, either one of those meetings that you guys had with them that you wanted to just kind of share?
Well, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. You and I talked about, like, is there a way
Yeah.
that they could make that downstairs?
Oh, yeah, so that was something, did you actually, that was, you and I talked about that the other night,
Too
so.
much with them, but I mean, did we talk about that?
Yes.
The basement?
As far as like,
Yes. So
if we had a graded.
walk in like we walk in here.
Yeah.
Yep, we did bring that up.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that would be great use of
That's fixed.
very open space, doesn't necessarily just have to be for storage, it could be other open,
Oh,
large,
just-
open space.
Yep.
Okay, so
When
that
we
was,
did speak about it, we spoke about it from a storage or a use capability, not from necessarily a meeting or open space capability. So that's something pretty easy we can ask or bring up to Rebecca and say, hey, when you evaluate this, give us the pros and cons of each or show what's possible or not. And
Okay.
that should be a very easy change for them because they're already thinking about the access.
good,
The only issue is, once you do that, would you need to have an elevator? Or no?
Nope, I don't think you have to because if you're
Because they can
not,
actually come through here.
you come around.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right.
And that was, we did talk about not wanting an elevator.
Right, no.
An elevator.
Right, and the
Right.
cost just.
the cost would be, right,
And I think a ramp, like they have it at the town hall, would probably be sufficient. Yeah.
Yep, for front access,
Yeah,
yeah.
front access.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
We still want.
I'm just saying, if you're in the downstairs of the next door,
Sure,
but then you just have to track this way if you want. If a person
Well,
needs to use the elevator.
very, very true, or out and around to the front.
Got it. Okay.
And that's
good.
actually, that's I expect we'll see that level of detail within the feasibility study. But that's also an important reminder for when and if we have the ability to go to true design and construction.
Right.
That's the phase where when we talk about ADA compliance, we have to be able to meet these specific things. We did bring up, obviously, all standard federal, state, local requirements, so that was, we weren't hiding anything.
no,
We
of
want
course not, right,
transparent,
right.
so.
What were their thoughts on the stairwell coming to the basement? I mean, 'cause-
That will have to-
I mean, they've seen worse, I'm
I'm
sure.
sure, yeah.
I mean, otherwise we'll have to do it after the fact, just go through the wall downstairs. I mean, right, Andrew?
We walked the hallway, we showed them where the heating thing was,
Yeah.
we took it to every corner,
Good.
and which was great, and they appreciated the decor. They
Yeah, I'm
thought
sure
it was
they did.
definitely special.
Yes.
No, we joke about it, but they were, even in that first meeting, which is really just a, a lot, what's the basics that we're looking at, they were already being pretty thorough, and their brains were already working, which was pretty cool.
Good.
So, I like Rebecca, she's good,
Yeah,
she's squared away.
we showed them the upstairs with the caveat, we're not gonna be upstairs. By that, I meant that second floor,
Sure,
you know,
Right.
pull that all
made it look all pretty. Sorry, again, over here.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else? Topics not anticipated within the last 48 hours?
I just have a question. So
Yes.
what is the rule or what are the laws in regards to how many employees should be, can be involved in because, we both have certain interest.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
as
perfect.
far as the subcommittee?
Yeah.
I think there's only limitations on how many folks from the trustees can be here,
All right.
because we're the elected part of that
Right.
board.
Right.
So, I don't believe that from anything I've heard, there's a restriction on the other.
Okay.
Right.
And it is an open meeting, so
Okay.
anyone can be here.
out. Does the
All right.
other staff want to?
No, I'm just thinking, if we are allowed to be part of that, because we have a, vested interest.
100%, and that
I would
voice is
say
key.
100%, yeah.
And especially once we get to kind of that midpoint stage where we're starting to see some documents. Frankly, maybe it's a good opportunity to, next staff meetings, to start that discussion as well and bring forward, what's happening within the design so far.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that, I don't think our next one's till May.
Oh.
But at the same time,
We see people in the week.
We do. We're not sequestered. In our office and down to desk.
Someone say,
Were there other staff that were interested in?
no, but I'm
the
kind of
process?
thinking, it would be
Yeah, no, absolutely. It doesn't make
at
sense.
least.
Sense
Yeah.
not, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense not to.
Right.
You know, it should,
And
everybody should be able to chip in.
Right.
And this is a topic not anticipated within 48 hours. But when we talk about talking it up or marketing, what this is, we have to understand we're going to come up in front of a large school budget changes over the next 3 to 4 years.
Correct.
We also have still on the docket, a senior center that is trying to figure out whether it can happen, a new one can happen, or if reconstruction needs to happen. So we're in line for hard budget times. It doesn't mean it's not possible, because between grants, CPA funds, or other different avenues of money, it's very possible. I don't think we should stop the idea of looking for private benefactors as well. So when we talk about talking it up, it's okay to tell folks, hey, we're really trying to figure out what to do with this building. And getting that known, because then it's not a surprise.
Right.
And we've seen when the reverse happens, and then everyone's like, well, we're not gonna do that, we didn't know, or whatnot. And that's happened over decades and decades, so.
And especially all the people that had complaints about the outside of this building. We should get them involved in the planning process.
There you go, absolutely.
So when they make the first pass, I think it's a very good idea, to your point, to bring it around to staff and say, hey, take a look at this. Is there something you're not seeing here that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
it's a great idea.
Yeah, they don't have to attend a meeting to
No.
be involved in it,
Right.
and they should be involved in it. So I
The problem
believe,
is we don't really talk to each other.
I believe that Rebecca and her team plan on talking to staff.
Oh, yeah, no,
But
I think so.
I just was afraid, like, I know how sometimes
Right.
Tara's schedule is just so up in the air that I wanted to make sure they had a specific conversation with her, but I believe they plan on talking to staff.
Yeah.
And I will certainly mention that our next meeting is whatever we decide on. And, we would love if one or both of you could be, present, even if it's remotely, at that meeting. And then, but yeah, absolutely. By the sounds of it, before our next meeting, that's the other thing we have to decide, like, I mean, we're still definitely in the early stages. We had talked about at one point that we might need to start meeting more frequently. And are we at that stage yet, or do we, still go a month out and see what happens? But potentially they could have something for us within a week or two.
I'm not when they present something to us, right?
Sure. That's
They
true.
want to jump on that earlier than later. Well, although we're meeting pretty early in April anyway.
At least for the
Because we're
trust.
meeting
That's true.
So,
Right,
If we stick with that,
yeah,
we're closer to.
Probably,
2 to
yeah,
3
that's
weeks
probably not
instead of
bad.
5.
right.
right.
And that may be a good tipping point to say, hey, because of the timeline, maybe it's smarter to do, even if it's, well, depending upon if the state approves.
I was gonna say, we can't necessarily all do.
Always, we cannot always assume we can do full remote moving forward. So there's that potential hiccup. But we can do, if one or two of us is present in this building, that means it's not fully remote. So we can
Correct.
figure out ways to do meetings if that.
If
works
that,
for folks.
yeah, especially where we'll have to meet more frequently. I agree with that.
I mean, some of it may depend on present something this next week or the week after, and they're like, well, here's the turnaround on this. We need response. by
Right.
next.
Sure.
Right,
It could be.
Yeah.
right,
And that's okay. That's good.
right. Because if it takes us longer to respond, then it's their timeline will.
They,
then-
yeah, 'cause they know what
Right,
the time that they're gonna need.
Yep.
to get this
right.
Good.
under the deadline before.
I think that's smart.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
So I'll reach out to Rebecca. Okay, so with that being said, does anybody else have anything else they want to say before we set the next meeting?
Just send me however you want those minutes to look for February. That you have.
No, they're approved. They're approved. These ones are
All
done.
right, so I can take that now.
Yes.
Yes,
Don't
please.
need- Okay.
Yes,
All
please.
right, you said- know if you wanted to,
No, it's.
Okay, so Monica, the next trustee meeting then was set for April 3rd.
Away, are you away then? I
Oh.
thought you was away.
Renee's yours.
Ah,
Good for you.
Yeah,
So nice there.
yeah,
Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
that's
I
great.
think I by accident ran into the Azores or
he
something.
ran by accident, yeah, I think
I
it
was
it might have.
sailing across the Atlantic and we had to stop.
Yeah, I think
So-
they have a base
Yeah.
on San Miguel.
We had to go swing by there.
Yeah.
That was a lot of years ago. That was 1998, 97.
97?
Yeah, I think a little's changed since then.
I don't think so, it's Portugal.
But that's true. That's fair.
It's not the 3rd of the 10th, but you're away like the latter half of that one.
Well, I'm 11 days,
Good.
Yeah, good for you.
just drinking wine and taking it there.
So are you okay if we have that?
Well, here's what we'll do. If they have a plan, if they send us their first pass. You and I'll sit down with it.
Yeah.
Sit down with it.
Oh, yeah,
And then
absolutely.
I'll bring my the feedback to the.
Okay,
Yeah, it
As
would be
long as
great.
you're okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, all right. So our next meeting will then be the April 3rd at 7 PM. This Monica.
I know. You'll be relaxing on the Hazel's, which is so nice.
Cool. Then I will, if there's nothing else, I'll put a motion to adjourn.
I second. And I second? I don't know.
Sure.
if I'm allowed to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Yep, right back up to the same button. Slide over. Yep, there you go.